Hi, I'm Izzy. I've never been good in matters of the heart, never had that moment, you know, where everything falls into the perfect spot. Who knows? Maybe this will be the year.
You'll say that it's all right.
Look at you, big sister.
I thought you were just here for a fashion thing.
Just a fashion thing?
Oh my God, Sabrina, can I get a pic?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about going to LA.
You could come with me.
So this is the I'm going back to Hollywood to become a big star like my sister phase.
I can send you those fruit bouquet things with the pineapple on a stick.
Pineapple!
I still think we can work this out. I think it's over.
You can never trust a guy who has 20 of the same shirt in the same color.
Your post-breakup, your pre-real world.
Why don't you take the year for yourself? You're a millennial. You could try the whole, like, having fun in your 20s thing.
Smooth move. I bet you get a lot of girls on their backs every day. I'll work on that one somewhere.
I guess I'm just wondering how you ever meet the right person.
Hi.
Hi. They can't just walk right into your life.
Oh my God.
And command you to pay attention.
Yes.
Was I supposed to pound? I'm doing a scene with a really hot new guy from class.
When I said there are other fishies in the sea, I meant, like, look through the sea, not immediately at the first person that shows up.
Did you learn that in your sensitivity training course, Sabrina? There's nothing accidental about any of this.
You're my big sister.
I just want to move on and feel better. Bitches need bitches. He kept asking me to tell him how big his peen is.
Oh, that's everything to a guy. You just gotta lie.
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody from the Year of Spectacular Men, writers, musician Madelyn Deutch, and director Lea Thompson.
Hello. Guys, how you guys?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. This is so cool. This is so cool. It's a total family affair. It's your directorial debut. Let's tell the story of the story. How did this start? Wait, did you write the script and then bring it to your mom? Or did the two of you devise it together and then you went and wrote it? What happened here?
Well, it was 1991 when I was born.
That's how it started.
I came out with a screenplay. No.
Kids in LA do.
Yes, exactly. Yes, well, her dad and I met on a movie set, so.
Some Kind of Wonderful, right?
Wonderful. Yeah, he directed me in Some Kind of Wonderful. Yeah, you had a really bad year, and we were talking about it on Mulholland in the car with Zoe, and
I was just, my mom said, well, if you were to write a movie, what would it be called? And I said, God, The Year of Spectacular Men. Just like that.
we were like,
boing, boing.
that's a good title.
Yeah. We liked the title, and it literally stuck. It's like the weirdest story.
No,
Is this autobiographical for you? Was your year kind of like this?
It was semi-autobiographical. I actually did date 5 guys in the course of my first year out of college. And so I used that essentially as the framework that I built the screenplay on. It was sort of like the bones and the kind of architecture of the script, but then, you know, it starts to look a lot less and less like real life as you kind of go along.
As you sort of have to tell a story and the mechanics of a story kick in.
Exactly.
And the movie is, was one thing that's kind of similar is that when she left for college, her sister was just her little sister, and when she came back, she was a movie star. So that was also kind of part of the story and the adjustment of that. To have her all of a sudden be completely, you know, everybody like, take a picture and all that. That was a lot for all of us to adjust to.
And I like how that doesn't become a big source of conflict between your characters in this, where I feel like as the mechanics for a movie kind of kick in where you're writing, that would be a very easy sort of story to put in this, whether it was autobiographical
You mean like
or not.
the All About Eve kind of take on it, where like she would be
they're
jealous?
still quite supportive of each other.
Yeah, I think
That's like real life. I mean, they're really
yeah, we do a lot of, I mean, we're always like taping each other for auditions. I'm always busting into my sister's house and like eating her leftovers, and she's like, can you put this on tape for me? You know, like we're a little bit weird that way, yeah. So,
But one thing that I think is really interesting about the movie that kind of no one ever kind of notices is that it's a different take on Hollywood. Most of the time, I'm always perplexed at the way Hollywood's actually portrayed in movies, and it never has been my experience, and I've been there a long time. So
How would you say it's normally portrayed?
like a
like,
director
everyone's,
in a
like,
suit, everyone's always yelling at each
yelling
other
and
and
acting
really
really-
rich.
and yeah,
Everyone's always like in a Lamborghini, and you're like, what?
Super annoying. And I'm like, you guys are on movie sets all the time. Why are you not portraying this how it really is, which is just a bunch of people working really, really hard. And
Usually kind of like a little nerdy.
yeah, like everyone's just kind of like walking around bored, and maybe that's it. Maybe it's really boring. But Maddie kind of portrayed it. Maybe Madelyn and we portrayed it, I think, in a more like, at least in the experience that we have of Hollywood.
It's like normal people. This is their trade. Maybe not totally normal, but like this is what they've chosen to do with their lives. There's a lot of like blue collar mechanics that are required to get a film made that people don't really think about. They see this part of it where you like look nice and stuff.
I think that really shows in a scene, or at least I now that you say it, I remember feeling that in a specific moment in the film, which is after Zoe has experienced some issues in her relationship. We kind of just have a scene with her in her trailer, and she's kind of dolled up to go out onto a set, but you know that she's probably dealing with some pretty emotional stuff in that moment, but still has to go to work like the rest of us have to do on a daily basis. When like something bad happens, we still have to go and put our face on and go to work and get the job done.
I think especially for actors, God forbid you do something, you behave badly as an actor. I think you're feeding into this sort of what I believe is a false narrative that they're incredibly difficult all the time.
God forgive if you're a woman who behaves badly.
Exactly.
On the set anyway.
So there's sort of like an expectation that you better behave like an absolute angel at all moments. And you can see her character do that in it, where you can see her like pushing and fighting through, and like she's heartbroken and she's just trying to show up and be the best version of herself. And I do think that's one thing that's a little bit weird about our business. You're sort of expected to always be on and always be like kind of perfect.
I am. I'm always on.
You're always
Me
perfect.
too. So tell me what it was like being directed by your mom, and tell me what it was like directing for the first time. Well, had you directed some TV
yes,
before?
I directed some
Excuse
TV
me. Sorry.
movies, and I've directed episodes of Mom and Switch Up Earth and the Goldbergs and American Housewives. So I've directed.
You've directed, yeah.
Yeah, but this is the very first thing, you know, because I started working at like 14 as a dancer, and I've kind of been lucky enough for the most part to make my life living as an artist. But this is the first time I've ever really created something from the ground up and been there for that. And it's
a different animal than
completely.
directing TV or
Yeah.
even like a TV movie, right?
Yeah, well, a TV movie was kind of hard, but I didn't have anything to do with the script. I could just try to make it better. This has really been like the greatest experience of my life. Thank you, Madelyn Deutch, for letting me direct your movie.
Thanks, Mom.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, so directing my kids was really interesting. I mean, they're very complicated, interesting, very talented women in their own right. I guess it would have been really different if they were 12 or like 11 or something, but they were full women, and they taught me a lot. They gave me the strength to, you know, really follow my own strength and to like stand up and, you know, do what I knew was right. And you know, we really gave each other jobs that no one else was going to give us. So that was really cool to team up and be partners with them in an adult setting. What was it like? I took over.
Yeah, what was it like for you being directed by your mom? I mean, I'm a petulant brat, and whenever my mom still tells me to do something, I'm like, ugh, Mom, no. And then I have to go do it because she's right.
Do you know what? Sometimes I actually think that was one of the best things I learned about the process, is like just being like, Mom, okay, yeah. You know what I mean? Like you sort of, yeah. I think
imagine
you've
that's
touched
even
on something
harder for you though, because you're not just her daughter, you're also the writer, which writers have notorious conflicts with directors, just simply because you may have just written the page, but you probably still pictured it a little bit in your mind how it would look at times.
I am incredibly self-deprecating, but one place where I will give myself credit is that because I've worked quite a bit as an actor, I'm incredibly cognizant of how annoying writers can be, and how when they think their word is God, I just think it's an easy way out. Like, I think if someone comes to you with a great note, if it's a really good note, take their note. Guess who's going to get credit for it? Like, how stupid are you? You know, like, that's my take on it. So I didn't want to be like, I mean, I don't have the ego that I was like, this was my first feature screenplay, and I was like, every period and comma and apostrophe is magnificent. You know, like we were on set, like working through issues on things. You know, I still worked my ass off on the script, but you know, we still had to change the ending. Like the ending didn't work. Like there were things that didn't work. And if something doesn't work, you must change it. And so I think I was pretty easy about that. I can only think of like 1 or 2 times on set where I was like, we do actually need to get a take of someone actually saying that line because it like relates to plot.
Can I ask, what was it like having to change the ending? I mean, so often when people see movies, they assume that it was a singular vision from the beginning to the end, and that all throughout the process, even some of the greatest movies in the world that have ever been made, you know, somewhere along the process, someone was like, oh, that thing that we thought would work doesn't work, so we have to go back and reshoot that because no one's vision is actually, you know, that singular. So what was it like realizing that?
Again, it's like that thing that I said, if it doesn't work, you must change it. Like the original ending just didn't work, and we were really lucky because we shot the movie in chunks. Like we shot...
To get the 4 seasons. We had to kind of shoot it in different...
Yeah.
And
like,
the cities, all the cities. Because we shoot 4 seasons, and we shoot in Los Angeles, Lake Tahoe, San Francisco, and New York in the spring. So it was all different, Lake Tahoe and the skiing. So yeah, we shut down twice. So I had a chance to edit and then kind of see what didn't work, which was great.
Yeah, so we rewrote the ending and went back and reshot it, or like shot pieces of it and then kind of strung it together in a way that felt better. The thing that was nice about it, though, is I guess I didn't realize how much you'd love Izzy. Like the ending was less about Izzy. It was like a more typical screenwriter kind of ending where it was more in a bow. And then when we started watching the movie, we were like, you really love her. You might not need to end it that way, you know? So you'll have to watch the movie and find out how it ends. Where's the other camera? How many cameras can I look into?
But I find
Honey, I'm teaching you something right now.
Oh,
as a creative, that's such a learning experience when you find that you have to do something like that significant, like change your ending, because you have to get over that and realize that that's just part of the process. I think so often people have to end up having to do something like that, and it's like, well, what if I've failed? I'm a bad artist or something like that. And it's like, no, that's just part of the process.
Well, that's how I knew she was a really good writer, because she, you know, when you talk to someone who's very good, this has been my experience, is you say, this has to change and these are the reasons. And if they're really good, they go, okay, I think I can make that work. I'm not going to do it exactly the way you said, but I'm going to do it this way. And she was always that way from the very beginning when I would give her notes. I made her rewrite
working
something.
with amazing actors, I really, again,
They're great
how
actors,
stupid can you be to not listen to what I really feel that way. Like, I love actors.
What your mom has to say, because she's been directing and writing.
Oh, yeah, but who's worrying about her? Who knows about her? Come on, we're not worried about her. She's like, little movies, Back to the Future, no one knows that. Anyway, moving on. So, no, honestly, though.
With Zemeckis and John Hughes
he's
and
like
her
a
husband.
small director, very esoteric. No one really knows his work. But yeah, no, I mean, between my mom and between all these actors who've been working so long and so hard to do this movie, I felt like beyond flattered that they had even taken the time to dig in and really ask hard questions about the characters that they were playing and really make amazing suggestions. I mean, like Nick Braun in particular comes to mind. He gave unbelievable notes, and he's so good in the movie. I love him. And
he's
all
really
of them.
great. He's a I mean, I don't know if he's a big find now. For me, I've just this and Succession this year. He's
I know
great.
Succession's coming out. He's oh my God, I'm like his #1 fan.
And Avangiogia was really great too. He's so funny and he's so beautiful. And he wrote a song, one song that I used twice because I like it so much in the movie. He sang. So we had a lot of great contributions and a lot of people that really, like Nick Braun had to go to 3 different states. You know, I mean, three different cities to shoot this, and he was nice enough to make it work in his schedule. It was really nice.
What was the toughest part about building this from the ground up for you?
It was. She wrote a very big script for, the budget that we had. 4 cities, 4 seasons.
That feels
6 guys.
rookie. That's rookie about the script. Like the fact that we needed like 50 locations, like 11 main cast, like
How many
an
sound
entire
cues?
year, 4 season, blah 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 blah. Like we could go on and on about the production because we get obsessive about it. But like.
That's not rookie. That's old school.
Yeah.
That's like what movies. That's like what movies looked like in the mid-90s.
That's what we were trying to do.
That was my big thing. Is I'm so obsessed. My like huge crusade as a writer is to try to make the films that I loved growing up that were smart, cunning, sharp movies for young people that actually had budgets and studios behind them that were like funny as hell, but really talking about something like 10 Things I Hate About You, The Girl Next Door, you know, these kinds of films. They were great scripts, you know, and that's my dream is to make those kinds of films.
We were just blindly lucky. I mean, we went through a couple different sets of producers, but then we got these producers at Parkside Pictures who were just like scrappy. They were like, it was like a challenge to them. They're like, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna shoot in New York. We're gonna shoot in the snow, and they were really great. And then we got Mar Vista to sign on and pick up the picture because it's weird. People think that you know, 20-year-old women don't want to go see movies about their contemporaries. It's so weird. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why women disappear in the film in their 20s. Like they're like 19, and then all of a sudden they're 30, and they're like working professionals looking for love. But what happened to them in their 20s? The 20s are really a powerful time.
Not in this movie.
Not
in this movie. We're talking about, yeah, no, it's true. It's a hole in the demographic. I talk about it all the time, every meeting I go into, and people are always like, no. And then I'm like, name me one movie.
No, you're absolutely right, because you're saying that. As you were saying that, I was thinking in my head, really? The 20s? What are you talking about? Like,
Think about it.
And I was like, oh, no, yeah, I can't think of anything. Usually, I mean, I think most women in their 20s who are in movies are relegated to, like, superhero roles. I mean, everyone's relegated to superhero roles.
Can I be relegated to a superhero role?
I want to be a superhero.
Where's my cape?
No, yeah, I mean, even then, the story isn't about them or their life. It's about something else, or they're like, I don't know. It's just really hard to
They're
find.
in service of a man's plot.
Well, and also, I really realized that in my ingenue days, and probably mostly till I did Switched at Birth, almost every one of my words was written by a man. And if it was a man, it was an older man. I was like, I was living their dream of their dream girl, and how would their dream girl talk? And that's a weird thing.
So dark.
Incredibly
It's so
weird
dark
and
when you
dark,
say
yeah.
it like
Yeah, I know. When I really literally was. I was always cast as like the perfect girl, their dream girl, the girl they couldn't date in high school. And it's kind of brutal. Except for Red Dawn. Or maybe that's who John Milius really wanted. Did you ever see Red Dawn?
I've seen Red Dawn, yeah.
Yeah, maybe John Milius, I was his dream girl, I guess, because I had an AK-47.
That does sound like John Milius'
Dream girl, right? I know. But I was 17. So. I mean, I was supposed to be.
Oh, sorry. What was it?
She wasn't in her 20s.
What was the toughest part about writing the movie for you?
Toughest part about writing the movie, toughest part was recognizing my part in everything. You want to be like, and then they did this, and you start writing it and blah blah blah, and then you're like, oh no, while Izzy, the lead character, is not like me as a personality type, I based the events on things that I had gone through. So what I was forced to do was look at my side of the street. And my side of the street was not that clean. Do you know what I mean? And so what it was this big personal revelations coming up. It felt like popping a zit or something. That's so gross. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I always go to the one thing she's going to get annoyed by.
No,
it's not.
Is that what it is?
But I guess what my mom was just like, this is the problem with doing PR with your mom, is I could just see her be like, oh my God.
Well, you did the same thing to me. Yeah, we're all like, oh, and we can feel it. But the thing is, I knew Maddie was up for like not being honest about the exact situations, but being honest about how she felt about things. Because she wrote a lot of songs, and she's been writing songs since she was like 12 or 13 or 11 or whatever. And they were very personal, and it's hard to show people that kind of thing. And she was down for it. And so I really knew she had a very special quality, because, that's a really hard thing about writing. When you're an actor, you're revealing things about yourself, but you can always hide behind the character. They're not your words. It's not your open heart bleeding on the stage. I mean, it is, but you can pretend it's not. So I just always knew she had that courage, which is amazing. So that's
masochistic. We're not sure which.
Yeah.
We're going to find out.
All writers are a little masochistic.
Totally. I mean, I've always been a writer since I was a little kid. I kept journals since I was 7. I always wrote songs. I was always writing to get out of something else.
Oh yeah, she didn't know how to do algebra, so she wrote songs.
Algebra. I didn't know how to add 2 and 2. They
Yeah.
told me I needed a
So
math
she wrote
tutor in
songs.
the first grade.
She wrote math songs
My
to
mom
get.
was like, my child is disturbed. Like, I didn't get that 2 and 2 meant 4. I was like, no, that doesn't make sense.
So you wrote songs to get out of it.
No, I wrote songs to get out of math class in high school. I wrote creative short stories to get out of regular essays in English. I always was like up to no good. And I for some reason didn't put, I write cards and letters to people to get them to not be mad at me. I write a good birthday card. You do. Ooh, I can amend years of issues. Yeah.
I have a question. When you were editing this film, so much of it are these touching scenes between your two daughters who are supporting each other. Did you cry a lot while editing the movie? I mean, specifically one of the last scenes in the San Francisco street is so touching, and it's your kids.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She only sees the pain in that scene. Yeah. That was a hard scene to shoot. It was like 35 degrees.
So you can kind of separate a little bit because you're directing it and you have to sort of plow through the process itself. Remove some of the sentimentality.
Well, the weird thing about it's an unusual independent movie because it is sincere, and it's funny, it's honest, it's sexy, but it's also sincere, which is surprising. That's not really the vogue for these kind of festival-y type of movies a lot of times, to be like really honest and heartfelt and really be a love story about two sisters. And there's also this kind of subplot where the father has killed himself, and that's a big secret.
Which I don't mean to laugh, but I felt so bad for your actual dad because
I know,
it's a family affair
Fair,
where
he
everybody,
killed off Dad.
Mom's behind the camera, the two sisters are on, and they keep going, Dad's dead, he killed himself. And I was like, poor Howard.
I know.
What's wrong
But
with
Maddie
me?
said
A
she-
lot
a lot.
is wrong with me.
But it was an attempt because I really feel strongly about secrets in families and how they can really destroy you. Like, when you know a secret but you don't know what it is, it's really difficult on kids. And I thought that was an interesting part of the story. And Maddie said she had to save a whole.
Howie Deutch, he's just
my
such
husband.
a character. Like, I couldn't even come up with a dad character that I just couldn't. If I thought of a dad character, I thought of him, which was not what happened with everyone else in this movie. I was able to take bits and pieces, but for some reason I just kept coming back to my dad, and I was like, I can't write him. He's too much of a character. He's such a weirdo. He's the coolest guy. My magnum opus will one day be to really write a whole
the
piece.
Howie
of
Deutch
my
movie.
dad. Yeah.
So your sister and your other daughter is coming on here tomorrow morning to promote another movie that she has coming out
I know.
right
She has
now.
Zoe
Poor
Deutch
thing.
has 2 movies coming out on the same
day.
day.
How do you feel about that?
It's really but it's cosmic.
Yeah.
It's a poor thing. It's a lot of work.
Do you have anything that you'd like to say to her that we can show her tomorrow and play for her?
No, I'll just make sure I give her a multivitamin tonight.
I do. Zoe, what was the best part, or who was your favorite person to work with on the Year of Spectacular Men?
Is that a trick question?
It is because it's
What
all
is
her,
she asking
It's all her family, right?
No,
Do you have a question?
we had so
Ask
many
her a
other-
question.
I don't have a question for her. I'm going to see her in probably 25 minutes.
Zoe was a producer on the movie, and she was really, great. She really helped us get so much done.
She's an amazing producer.
She's an amazing
savage.
producer, and-
She's the next, I don't know who.
Savage?
That's a good
She's
word.
an
That's a good
amazing
thing.
Producer. No, honestly, Zoe's dream is to just be walking around with a headset on at all moments. She wants if she could have her laptop magnetically glued to her hands, she would. But she's about getting stuff done. And not in a prissy way. She just loves to push things through, and she's a really hard worker. I think everyone in our family works pretty hard.
Yeah. She's just really an inspiration for me. She really helped me to get through a lot of different things on the show. Just do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Need one of those around.
Yes.
Don't think, just do. Go.
Yes. Go.
If you break it, we'll pick up the pieces and put it back together, but you have to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get some questions from our audience. What do we have here?
Hello, I'm Mark.
Hi,
Hi, congratulations on this awesome indie, this scrappy indie movie. So I'm a first-time feature filmmaker, and I made it with my sister and family, and it's really hard because you play all the roles that you're directing, producing, writing, and I want to know, how did you know when you were done? Because when you're in the edit room and you're watching yourself and you're watching your kids, and you're like, I can go back and I can watch that take, and maybe there's something else, and you can even make new lines. You could do ADR. I mean, how did you know when you were done, and how did you mentally say, I'm good?
That's really hard. That's a great question.
She is the Rain Man of ADR. She made me do like 72 straight hours of ADR. It was like, this thing doesn't quite work. When the shot's not on you, ADR, 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 ADR. Like, she did not stop with that.
Isn't someone the Rain Man of T-shirts in
Yes,
the movie
there
as
you
well?
go.
The Rain
really
Man,
see the movie.
The Rain Man. Zoe.
No, believe me.
Zoe in real life is the Rain Man of pillows. That's where I got it from.
But that's a really good question. It's they often say that movies are never finished; they're just abandoned, which I think is really the truth. I mean, I held on to everything. I mean, you can ask Dina's here from Mar Vista. I was like redoing the sound like 3 weeks ago, and I'm calling her. Did they put the new sound in? I couldn't stop. I mean, I really think it's hard. I think they have to pry it from your fingers, or you have to run
Cold, dead
fingers. Because if they let me go in and recut, I would recut something.
She
right now.
absolutely would.
I can't. It's true. And when you're dealing with people you love, or that can, you don't have to pay to come and do stuff. I mean, I kept making Maddie write and everything. So you know what? I have no good answer for you. Just when it gets to be too much, because it is. I mean, my mother just passed, and her paintings are in the movie. And she was a painter amongst other things. But she would just keep painting and painting and painting. We'd have to grab them from her, like, stop, it's done. And it really is, honestly, the hardest thing. But sometimes
I think maybe the answer lies in something about like the slight irritation. Mm-hmm. Like when you watch a scene, there's like something it's like a gut feeling, like you go, that's just not quite right yet. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like I watched you do that in the edit.
Yeah.
There were scenes where you'd be like, no, I think that feels good now. It's like a gut thing.
Plus, you really have to watch the time, because like you just can't make it too long. It's just a real problem.
Your next feature, like, don't let your writer give you a 115-page shooting draft like I did, which is just so horribly irresponsible.
There's probably another movie on the floor.
115.
I had to cut a lot.
Yeah.
Next question.
Hi, Lea. Hi, I'm Helene. We're twins. And I've seen your clips on Back to the Future and What Hero on Twisted Bird. I was wondering what's the difference between acting and directing your first film?
That's a really good question. Well, directing is really amazing because I feel like I've used everything that I've learned from all the people that I've worked with and all the different things I've done, because I've been a dancer and a singer, I've been on Broadway, and I've worked with so many great people and so many directors. Most directors never work with another director. I've worked with like 200. So I've seen what doesn't work and what does work, and basically what's doesn't work is making people feel uncomfortable and unsupported, and what works is making them feel supported and comfortable in a lot of ways. But acting is a completely different part of my brain, although you really do have to be able to kind of be director-proof. So you kind of have to, in case the director's no good, you have to kind of direct yourself. So that's why so many actors make really good directors. If they're certain kind of people who are caring and interested in the world around them, they make really good directors, because it's you have to even be writer proof a lot of times when you're an actor. You really have to kind of but it's completely different, and it's a lot easier to be an actor, but in a lot of ways for me it's a lot more gratifying to be a director, because I can use all that I've learned. Thank you for that great question.
I think one of the, obviously the grass is always greener, and it is easier to be an actor in the sense that it's not a 2-year commitment that you have to make usually to each project and build it from the ground up. But the one thing that a director has versus an actor is innate control. Right. And actors, I think, so often feel out of control when they have a bad director or a bad writer. You get that feeling of like, no one's handling me, and how do I make this right so I don't feel bad doing it,
I think in a bad situation as an actor, you end up feeling a little bit like a doll. Like someone literally comes in and like lifts your arms up and dresses you. You know, somebody like puts food in front of you. Somebody puts you in a car and closes the door and drives you. So, you know, they hand you paper. Like you start to feel, it's true, you start to feel really out of control. But the best version of being an actor also is like the most delicious, collaborative, exciting, sparkly, juicy feeling in the world. So you are hopefully chasing that feeling, the latter, you know, when you at least make your own set. Because you make the rules on your own set, which is great.
And this, of course, you know, being Maddie's, you know, script, and Zoe and Maddie and I all working together to tell this story was like really the greatest for me of my life, like my greatest experience of working, because I felt like, you know, for if you like it or if you don't like it, it's the movie we set out to make. And there wasn't a lot of people telling us, well, you can't do that, and a girl can't talk about that, and girls should be like this, and they shouldn't wear that, which is usually what happens, you know. So I really liked that. It's
crazy to me.
Oh, it's all crazy. Let me tell you.
I know that that's real, but anytime I hear people say that, I'm like, that is crazy to me.
It's crazy, and I've lived it for many, many years. And what happens is you just get kind of used to it. You're like, oh, wait, so girls can't do that, so I'm not, oh, and that'll be too, you know, shocking, or that'll be too, like, you know, strong, or, you know, and it starts to grind you down, you know. So it was really nice to not have that experience, and, you know, to tell a kind of really honest story, you know, from this perspective, but also in a really pretty way. I meant to make this movie look like it did. I meant to make it look like the old movies of the 90s and the Woody Allen movies. And Annie Hall was the template that I used with the DP, because I thought that movie was so beautiful, and it was such a, you know, the way they shot it, and to give the millennial a due. So it's not like all like scrappy kind of like camera work, you know, weird shots and all that. I really wanted it to be old-fashioned and really pretty. I thought it'd be weird. It ended up being weird, but pretty.
Also, like the movie is earnest, but I also like hump a chair.
Yeah, we gotta
like
remember
I fully
that.
hump a chair.
Were you worried that there was
I
too much
also-
earnestness happening?
No, I just wanted to.
But
I wanted to
hump a chair,
treacle
too.
cutter it with the fact that I throw up in a vase. Yeah, I do some really amazing, glamorous movie star work in this, and I just wanted to be clear about that.
I think we have time for one more.
I love your dress. You look
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you. My question is, what's your biggest lesson you've learned in your 20s? Since you're still in your
Step
20s
aside,
now.
honey.
I know, it was a long time ago for me. I don't know.
Her lesson she learned in her 20s was that she worked with Bob Zemeckis and was like married at 28. She's like so clearly not a millennial. No, she was like a movie star at 23. I was like eating chicken and a biscuit and Taco Bell, like crying on the floor face down.
It's good times.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you love Taco Bell.
I do love it.
Tell them your order.
Chalupas.
Taco Supreme.
Taco Supreme?
Mom.
Okay,
God.
thanks.
What? I put her on the spot. She panicked. My biggest lesson I've learned in my 20s. Oh God, it's so boring. I love boys. I love them. I've always loved boys. Since I was a little girl, I always had boyfriends, and I just am always like looking for one. Always, as you can tell by this beautiful film. And my big revelation in my 20s has been very, very recent, actually, and that was that old trite cliche thing that everybody always says to you, which is that you arrive at a point where you realize you're going to have to get to know yourself alone before you can be with another person. It happened to me, and I realized it's true. And all that old wisdom is old wisdom for a reason. And that was really, for me, I think, the biggest lesson. Even though part of that is in my movie, I didn't learn it from my own movie. So you can tell I'm a highly intelligent creature.
That's the end of the movie, honey.
I know,
You forgot
I'm
about it.
behind by a few years. But yeah, that was my big lesson. What about you?
That's the tagline for Some Kind of Wonderful, Where I Met Your Dad. In order to stand together, they had to stand apart.
Stand alone?
Stand alone.
She screwed it up!
Something, whatever. That's
Right,
me.
you're not allowed to talk about log lines anymore.
I'm sorry, I haven't seen the poster in a while.
What is your biggest lesson in your 20s?
Geez, I feel like, I'm still learning, but I think in my 20s, gosh, it was so long ago. Gosh, it was a blur because I was like, did movie after movie after movie, but maybe a love scene with a duck wasn't a good idea. I'm not sure. I was in Howard the Duck.
That was clutch play. That was a clutch play.
I'm sorry.
That was good.
I think that it's really a hard time. I think the 20s are really hard, and I was really miserable. And I think I just learned that that it's not all that's outside that matters. It's what's inside. That you're only going to make yourself happy with how you take care of yourself. And I really took that to heart because there's so much, and you guys have so much, with the internet and everything. There's so much externally, like. You're always comparing your insides to other people's outsides, which has become an epidemic now. Everybody's lost and scared, no matter what their Instagram picture looks like. And so I really did learn that in my 20s, that I had to take care of myself and my heart and my life and not look at everybody else and think they all had it together, because we all are messed up and just trying to struggle through. And that's what I really was my lesson.
And that's a lot of what the Year of Spectacular Men is about. How can people see the film? When can people see it?
June 15th. It's in select theaters nationwide and VOD and on demand.
And iTunes.
Yeah, iTunes, Amazon, all that good stuff.
But you'll, if you follow the Year of Spectacular Men on Instagram, you'll see, or go to marvista.com, you'll be able to find what theaters it's playing in. Like Dallas and Minneapolis, I think, and
LA,
Chicago, LA, New York, but just
Boston.
Yeah, or you can get it on VOD, or iTunes.
And if you're going to watch one movie this weekend, make sure it's the Year of Spectacular Men. Don't watch anything else. There's nothing else coming out this weekend.
All
that you
the
should
other
watch.
movies
Just
are
watch
garbage.
The Year of
It's
Spectacular
only
Men,
this
right?
one that's
Well,
good.
All the
okay.
other movies are bad. Do not watch any.
Don't watch
the
them.
ones on Netflix. Don't watch them.
First,
Don't
set it
watch
up.
them.
Set it up. Zoe's movie, Set It Up.
Set it up.
Don't watch any of them. No, just this one, right?
Watch a double feature of Set It Up and The Year of Spectacular Men. You're trying to get me in trouble with Zoe Deutch.
It's the Zoe Deutch Blue Plate special. It's surf and turf.
Please give Madelyn and Lea a round of applause. And
Thank you so much, you guys. You're great. Thanks.